What is up, everyone? A huge thank you for clicking on the video. I greatly appreciate that, as always. Now today I have another physical cartridge ROM hack video, and today we're taking a look at perhaps one of the best sequels out there. I'll leave it up to you if you think it's the best or not, but it's definitely up there. And today we're taking a look at none other than Black and White 3 Genesis for the Game Boy Color. Now, I am not the biggest fan of Black and White 2. It's definitely not my favorite game. I love the first Black and White. Great games. So I was definitely hesitant whenever I first came across Black and White 3 Genesis. But spoiler alert, I've played this before, and it is a fantastic game. We'll get a little bit more into that. But yeah, just in general, I've dealt with a lot of sequels before. Not just in ROM hacks, but just also like Black and White 2 and Sun and Moon, or Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon. Not usually the biggest fan of sequels, but this one definitely is the best one, or at least one of them. But let's go ahead and take a look at this case here. I really do like this. This is a solid representation of both Black and White. As you obviously know, Black and White are usually two separate games, but this is the combination of both of them. Not Gray version, you know, we never got Gray version. Would have been cool if we did, but instead, no, we've got the sequels, which of course now led us to Black and White 3 Genesis. So we've got, of course, Zekrom and Reshiram up here. And of course we've got the Game Boy Color as well as the Nintendo seals here. But of course I'll say this is not an official Nintendo product. It's just here to kind of tie it all together and make it look cool. Then we'll take a look at the spine here. Pretty solid looking spine. I always like the spines. They're a little underrated, but they usually look pretty solid. I like that. Looks very nice. Then we got the back here. This is a bit of a simple back. You know, nothing as flashy as we've seen before, but it probably conveys exactly what it needs to. A couple little screenshots from the game here, not too telling, I don't believe. Then we've got the paragraph here. I'm not going to read the whole thing, but we've got a little excerpt here to kind of tell you what the game is about. Of course, we've got Team Plasma. There's 253 Pokemon and 255 moves available. Physical special split. Power change to fit Gen 5's Fairy type. That's awesome. Reusable TMs, trade evolutions, change to normal level up. Tons of stuff and more, of course, that we have to look forward to. I really cannot wait to get into this to show you guys what this is about. But before we do that, we of course got to open this up, and let's take a look at the actual physical cartridge here. We will set that right here. We've got a nice black cartridge here. This actually looks really sleek. I actually do really like the way that looks. Love the black cartridge. Would have been cool. I don't know if I've actually seen a white cartridge, but it would have been cool if like maybe the back was white or maybe the front was white. We could have had like a black and white cartridge, but this is pretty solid. I definitely prefer this to like a gray cartridge. The black is definitely a nice look. This is a ROM hack of Crystal that is made by Azurekeys, or Azurekeys. I hope I am saying that right. So huge shout out to them for making this game possible. It was a fantastic game. But essentially what this is a demake of the Unova region that acts as a sort of sequel to Black and White and Black and White 2. Obviously, new story, new characters, some new characters, of course. You are a new character. But yeah, this is a Gen 2 ROM hack that's sort of, like I said, a demake, essentially, of the Unova region, and there's absolutely tons of stuff to look forward to. I mean, the game is beautiful. It's absolutely stunning. So I'm super excited to plug this into a Game Boy and play it on authentic hardware for the first time. So without further ado, I'm going to go ahead and pop this into the Game Boy and see if it works. Alright, here we've got Black and White 3 Genesis. Now, first and foremost, does this game work? Does it hold a save? Yes, I can confirm that this game does hold a save. I put about 37 hours into it and it's still holding strong. I was able to beat the game, you know, I cruised through the gym leaders, I crushed the Elite Four, and I absolutely stomped the champion, and I had such a fun time doing it. Now, was there anything wrong with the cartridge, any hiccups or anything like that? No, thankfully there wasn't anything wrong with this cartridge. The game actually runs extremely smoothly. No glitches or bugs stood out to me, which is a plus. Now, since there wasn't anything wrong with the game, I would, like I do, like to take a minute and talk about some of the cool things that stood out to me about this ROM. I always love to mention this in my videos, but the sprite work was phenomenal. So smooth and crisp. It honestly looked like a professional did it. Like, I swear I was looking at like just cut content or something. Like that's how good it looked. And I love it when any ROM hack, not just Gen 2 ones, but any of them incorporate newer Pokemon into the older art styles because it always looks good. It's not just the Pokemon themselves either, but the trainer sprites too. This is the Unova after all, so you bet there's going to be some familiar faces, and it's just so neat seeing all of these gym leaders and Elite Four members and just other characters in general in this art style. It looks so good. They translated it so perfectly. Also, the region as a whole was just spectacular. I genuinely felt at times like I was walking in a one-for-one demake of the Unova region. Obviously not everything is the same, but so much is. I'd venture to say close to 80-90% exactly the same as it was. Obviously that's just a massive guess, but it felt so one-for-one at times. Even some of the trainers felt like they were possibly ripped from the DS games. You know, just the dialogue they were saying, their location, the Pokemon they used, it just felt really familiar. Even the routes and cities were designed so well you knew exactly where you were at. If you didn't have a town map, you knew where you were. You can tell this hack had so much effort put into it. There's even some new biomes and areas that you don't normally see in Gen 2 games, like the desert biome. I don't even usually care for desert areas in video games. They're some of my least favorite places to trek through, but in here it just looked like it belonged. Again, like it looked like cut content. It looked just so in place. I obviously don't want to spoil everything from the game, but I do always like to talk a little bit about the story and the gyms and such, so it's no surprise that Team Plasma is back. They're up to some shenanigans, no doubt, but the way they were portrayed in this game made them feel a lot like Team Rocket, which I personally loved, and I know that's partially because of the Gen 2 art style, but it just felt very grounded and simple for the story, which is good. At one point you're actually facing Team Plasma in an abandoned gym, which I thought was really awesome. I won't say which gym, I won't spoil that for you, but it just really felt like a black and white game to me. We did get a couple changes to the gym leaders and Elite Four lineup this time around. Most notable to me was Chantel, no longer in the Elite Four. To me, she was always a little bit forgettable as an Elite Four member, but for some reason I really liked seeing her as a gym leader. She was pretty early in the game as well, and overall it just felt like a more fitting and memorable role for her. Elisa was upgraded to the Elite Four this time, and this one also made sense to me. I definitely thought that she would have hit this title in Black and White 2, but I'm just glad that she got it here. She always had that flashy stage presence, and the Elite Four just feels more fitting for her. There are plenty of other cool things I could talk about, but for the sake of time, I will only bring up one more thing, and that is my personal favorite addition to this game, and that is bringing back the Strident City gym. That was always my favorite gym in the entirety of Unova. I was really upset whenever it was no longer in the actual gym lineup, but I'm super glad that it's back now. Now, it's not the same. You don't get the random choice of the three brothers. It's just Silent or Celian this time around, which is perfectly fine with me. He was always my favorite gym leader. I loved him in the Black and White show, so it was just honestly amazing that he was back in the game. Overall, I had a ton of fun playing through Black and White 3 Genesis, so I again want to give a huge shout out to Azurekeys for creating a truly epic ROM hack. Also, a huge thank you to everybody else that I saw involved in the credits. This game literally would not be playable without you. Alright, that is going to bring us to the end of the video here, and thankfully this cartridge saves. It holds a save, and I was able to beat it, which of course is the best possible outcome. Not to mention that it had awesome physical presentation in my opinion, and it was an awesome ROM hack, which is just the best combo, the best possible outcome we could get. There's so much more I wanted to talk about, like the inclusion of the World Tournament, I forgot to mention that, or the fact that I thought you had a pretty decent rival in this game, somebody I definitely enjoyed facing. But you'll just have to check all that out for yourself. You won't be disappointed with this game. If you all have any other questions or comments about this game, feel free to leave them down below and I'll do my best to answer them. Also, if you have anything you want to see from me next, feel free to leave those down below as well. Don't forget to leave a like, and until next time, I'll see you all later.